working to connect a region of over 600 new bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez explains how to avail the low-interest loans in the recovery program for MSMEs or MSMEs under a microfinancing loan program. Existing micro and small enterprises can now tap assistance to restart their businesses after they've been affected by the lockdown measures taken by the government to contain the COVID-19 outbreak or pandemic. Let's listen in.
Opo, kung kukumpitin natin, kung assuming mga 20,000 ang pautang sa bawat mag-uutang na micro, pwedeng umabot ito sa 50,000 na borrowers. Pero kung again, pwedeng the reverse, kung ang magiging average ay mga 50,000 naman ng pautang, ay pwedeng umabot lamang ito sa 20,000 borrowers kasi 1 billion sa ngayon ang na-budget po dito na mababang interest, 0.5% per month or 6% per year. At may 6-month grace period bago magkaroon ng long-term payment na 2 years or 24 months. So maliit po yan kung libo lamang ang pag-uusapan na mga borrowers. Dahil alam natin kung ang micro-entrepreneur ay lagpas 1 million po yan. Kaya nga ho, meron hong timing yung panukalang batas mula ho sa Kongreso at sa Senado na madagdagan itong pondo na to dahil ito naman pong serbisyo na to maibibigay natin to the extent meron pong budget. At ang ambisyon po, ang plano po dito sa panibagong suporta na ibibigay ho ng ating Kongreso at Senado ay sana zero interest pa ito na pwede hong ibigay dito po sa Small Business Corporation at ito po magpapautang. Pwede rin po itong maibigay dito sa mga iba ring financial institutions po na tulad ng Land Bank at ng DBP. Ang importante ho, meron hong pondo na makarating sa ating mga micro SMEs dahil sila po, they account for 70% ng mga empleyo dito po sa ating bansa. So, mahalagang magtuloy-tuloy ang kanilang negosyo, maka-restart sila para hindi rin sila mag-lay off ng mga empleyado at tuloy-tuloy yung income ng mga empleyado nila. Para ho, pag may income sila, meron pong matuloy, ma-revive ang demand ng mga produkto at sa ganon ay iikot na ang gulong ng ekonomiya ulit. Pag may demand na kasi, mas gaganahan at dadami uli ang mga magpuproduce nitong mga produkto po. And of course, kasama na dyan yung ating paghikayat ng ating mga kababayan to buy locally made products.
In Vietnam, cashless spending is now up by 39%. And a second submarine cable has broken down and slowed down internet speed in Vietnam. And good news coming out of that country, no new COVID-19 cases as of this morning. We have more from Chriselle Lacuna. Hello, Chriselle.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon to all of our viewers. Yes, that's correct. Yes. Vietnam logged no new cases of novel coronavirus disease. On Monday morning, a total of 325 positive cases have been confirmed out of 280,000 people tested so far, with no deaths reported and over 82% of the patients having recovered. Over 300 Vietnamese citizens were brought home from Europe and Africa on Saturday and Sunday on board flights operated by national flag carrier Vietnam Airlines. Let's go over to our headline number 1, Vietnam cashless spending up by 39%. Spending via Visa credit and credit debit cards last year surged 39% year-on-year as Vietnamese consumers became less dependent on cash. The data compiled for a year until December 1, 2019 also showed the number of transactions rising 54% during this period, according to a recent release from payment company Visa. A Visa survey also showed that 37% of Vietnamese respondents were using contactless payment technology that allows users to simply tap their card on the terminal to make a payment. 4 out of 10 users of this technology made payments with smartphones, and most of them used the technology at least once a week. The survey, which polled over 1,000 people, found 74% of respondents expecting their cashless transactions to increase in the next 12 months. Market observers have said that the potential for cashless payment in Vietnam is huge due to a growing middle class and rapidly improving telecom infrastructure. The government wants to make 30% of all transactions cashless by the end of this year. But the reliance on cash remains overwhelming, with 80% of Vietnamese preferring to use cash for daily transactions, according to the Ministry of Industry and Trade. Headline number 2, Vietnam's internet speed disrupted as second submarine cable breaks down. Vietnam's Asia-Pacific Gateway submarine cable system broke down on Saturday, just 9 days after an issue occurred along the Asia-America Gateway cable. The problem on the APG cable system has negatively impacted international communication in the Southeast Asian country, a representative of local internet service provider stated. Domestic ISPs have redirected all connections through the APG system to other cables in order to minimize the connection disruption. According to the Vietnam Internet Association, international connection in Vietnam relies on multiple submarine cables systems, namely APG, AAG, SMW3, Intra-Asia, and Asia-Africa-Europe 1. The APG, which runs about 10,400 kilometers underwater across the Pacific Ocean, connects Vietnam with mainland China, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Taiwan, Thailand, and Singapore. The cable system was launched in 2016 with a traffic capacity of 54.8 terabits per second. That's considerably fast, the largest of any other cables in Asia, and had been expected to provide more stable connection for Vietnamese internet users. So that's all. That's the latest from Vietnam. Alma?
All right. Thank you very much, Chriselle. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you so much for your time.
From EBC Vietnam Bureau, this is Chriselle Yacuna. We'll live in interesting times.
In Thailand, a locally manufactured COVID-19 vaccine is set to be trialed at the end of the year. Joining us from Phuket is Ian Celada. Hello, Ian.
Hello,
welcome to the program.
And to all our viewers.
Afternoon.
By the way, I'm here in Rang Hill Viewpoint, a well-known destination for the stunning views of the town. And also, of course, feeding monkeys. As you can see at my back, is all of my friends here in monkeys. So I'll now bring
Beautiful.
you live. Yeah. So, according to the Minister of Higher Education, Science, Research, and Innovation, government is hoping to start testing its locally manufactured COVID-19 vaccines, their mRNA vaccine, on guinea pigs before the moving on to monkeys, identified as long-tailed macaques, which shared similar genetic structures to humans. The vaccine will continue to be trialed on monkeys for the 3 months in the next phase of the process. The mRNA vaccine is jointly developed by the Chulalongkorn University Center of Excellence in Vaccine Research and Development, the National Vaccine Institute, and the Department of Medical Science and the private sector. It's one of the several potential vaccines being tested in Thailand. And on the other hand, government to recruit volunteers for vaccine trial. According to Bangkok Post, a Thai researcher plans to recruit 5,000 volunteers for the human trial of the COVID-19 vaccine, expected to start later this year, following an ongoing 3-month test on the monkeys. Director of the University Center of Excellence in Vaccine Research and Development said if the trial is successful, the research team will use the best viable antibodies from these primates to produce 10,000 doses of vaccine for human trials. In addition to that, they will see at least 5,000 volunteers receive the injections each. And the director said the factory in Canada will be contracted to produce the vaccine for the human trial, which is planned on October 2020. Before the vaccine is administered to all participants, it will be the first tested on 30 to 50 volunteers to determine its safety. If it passes, the vaccine will be administered to 250 to 500 people to test its ability to activate the immune system. Following to that, the vaccine will be given to the remaining volunteers to test its efficacy in preventing COVID-19. And meanwhile, Alma, the government on Saturday reported we have 3 new COVID cases. It identified the carriers as an Italian living in Phuket and 2 Thais who have returned from abroad and here in state quarantine. The three raises the national figure to 3,040 with no new deaths. Back to you, Alma.
All right, thank you very much for your updates and your report, Ian. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting from Phuket, Thailand. This is Ian Salada. We live in uncertain times.
Meanwhile, Malacanang on Sunday said it expects the Philippines to join clinical trials for a vaccine against coronavirus disease by the last quarter of 2020. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque made this statement after President Duterte expressed optimism over news that some clinical trials for the development of COVID-19 vaccine are showing early promising results. In a statement, Secretary Roque said they expect involvement in the vaccine clinical trials by the last quarter 2020 with the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST, taking a lead role. Secretary Roque said the DOST has been tasked to provide the country's collaborating organizations with the Department of Health, World Health Organization, and the Food and Drug Administration Philippines guidelines on vaccine clinical trials. The DOST, meanwhile, will also be in charge of identifying the sites, the local institutions, and the Filipino researchers who will be involved in the collaborative trials. Moreover, the DOST will also be tasked to assist local participating institutions in their proposals and budgets, to obtain ethics board approvals, and to formalize the agreements. Earlier, the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases approved the Philippines' planned participation in the clinical trials for a vaccine against the coronavirus through Resolution number 39 signed on May 22. President Duterte, in his public address delivered on May 19, sought the immediate purchase of a vaccine for the treatment of COVID-19 once it's available. ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
Iba't iba man ang pinanggalingan, iisa lang ang pinangahawakan. Ang pangarap na makilala sa kanilang larangan. Mas titindi pa ang performances ng ating mga TNG aspirants dito lang sa pinakabago at pinakamalaking talent competition ng Philippine Television. Ito ang...
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichops, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichops. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated, Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee. Masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Color for protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. R Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sandmix Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sandmix Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ibang klase ang sarap ng corned beef mo. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Kaya perfect ang sarap. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
In Cambodia, an animated series is helping children cope and learn about COVID-19. Meanwhile, there are 2 reported active cases there with 122 recoveries. All these and more from our EBC correspondent in Cambodia, Crystal Ann Ballesteros. Hello, Crystal.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon. For Cambodian News Today, a new animated series aimed at educating children about COVID-19 will be aired for 1 month beginning today on several television channels in Cambodia as a part of an effort to contain the coronavirus in the kingdom. It is titled Happy Family. The series targets 5 to 10 years olds. It tells the story of a family of bunnies. It is a joint production between the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, UNICEF, and Save the Children. During the joint statement obtained by Khmer Times, founded by USAID's Breakthrough Action Project, this television program provides children and caregivers with lifelong skills on how to protect themselves from the COVID-19 virus, how to stop it from spreading, as well as how to cope with the pandemic aftermath. The key messages are communicated through situations and explanations which are child-friendly, fun, and engaging. This increases the chances of children applying these key actions demonstrated to help prevent the spread of the virus. According to the Ministry of Education, Happy Family is scheduled to be broadcast this weekend on Bayon TV, TV5, and PNN. It will also be posted on social media channels. Meanwhile, Cambodia has confirmed another 2 new cases of the novel coronavirus or COVID-19. Bringing the total number to 124. According to a press release of the Ministry of Health, The new case was found on a 39-year-old Cambodian woman living in Phnom Penh. She returned home from the United States via Republic of Korea on May 8. She was under a self-quarantine upon her arrival in Cambodia and was detected positive for the virus on May 22. She was now admitted to the Khmer Soviet Friendship Hospital in Phnom Penh. And so Prime Minister Hun Sen advised through his post in his official Facebook page that public yet again needs to stay away from crowded places to prevent the spread of COVID-19 infection after 2 new cases have been reported in the kingdom. While the medical doctors are working to fight the virus, Mr. Hun Sen has reminded the public to continue practicing good hygiene, like wearing a mask or scarf and washing hands thoroughly. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Crystal, for your updates and your report. We'll be looking forward for more from Cambodia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting live here in Cambodia. This is Crystal Ann Ballesteros, and we live in interesting times.
In Thailand, more reopening of businesses by June, and the government is recruiting volunteers for a vaccine trial. Let's get more news from Faye Barte. Hello, Faye. Good afternoon, Faye. Hi.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all the viewers. I'm going to say something about the updates of the relaxation of measures here in Thailand.
Okay.
I'm just going to provide the timeline for the third period of relaxed measures. So the timeline, Alma, would be from May 23 up to June 1. May 23 to May 24, they are going to collect some data. So they are going to prepare some data for the meeting. On May 27, they are going to have the meeting if they are going to consider some relaxation of lockdown restrictions. And finally, on June 1, that would be the beginning of the third period of relaxed measures if they are already discussed and finalized some lockdown restrictions and relaxation of it. And for this, Alma, the venues that will remain closed would be the pubs, the bars, and night entertainment. So they are going to remain closed. Some of the moderate risk category businesses and activities are expected to be allowed to reopen for the third stage of COVID-19 lockdown, and it would be eased next month. And for this, Alma, here in Thailand, because there are some historical sites here and places that the people and the tourists are really love to go. One of the places there is the Ayutthaya. Ayutthaya is planning to reopen like the historical sites for that. They are very much ready to entertain some tourists. However, they are going to practice some measures like wearing a face mask, washing of hands, and social distancing. The last report that I'm going to say, Alma, is about the weather here in Thailand. And according to the Thai Meteorological Department, the moderate southwest monsoon prevails across the Andaman Sea and Thailand, while the low pressure cell covers the Laos and Vietnam. Heavy rains will be forecast for the northeast and the east. People should be aware of the severe conditions as well. Cloudy with scattered thunder showers, minimum temperature of 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, and the maximum temperature of 33 to 35 degrees Celsius here in Bangkok or here in central part of Thailand. According to the Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Department, Alma, the wet season started officially on May 18 and brought strong winds to 8 provinces in the northern, northeastern, and central regions on Saturday, damaging 272 houses with no reports of injury. The last one here is said drought is still predominant in 29 provinces of the northern, northeastern, and eastern regions. Alma.
All right. So how is Bangkok looking right now? And are there more businesses opening up now to restart the economy?
Alma, the situation now here in Bangkok, traffic is starting to hit Bangkok because flea markets are already on the roadside.
Okay.
People are going to their work, and work from home is not anymore practicing. However, some of the companies or some of the establishments are still practicing those things, but minimal numbers are doing this. And because of the weather, because we can experience some isolated thunder showers, especially in the afternoon, and especially during rush hour. So the traffic is really heavy, especially when like 6 p.m. or like 7 p.m.
All right. Thank you so much for your updates, Faye, and nice to see you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alma. Reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand Bureau. This is Faye Barte, and we live in interesting times.
All right, Maldives and China have decided on a joint response against COVID-19. Joining us live from the Maldives Islands is Steffi Dewan. Hello, Steffi.
Hi, Alma.
Hello. Good afternoon from Manila, and good afternoon. What time is it now in Maldives?
Now, time is 11:36 a.m. So, yeah. So, here's the latest updates in the island country of Maldives. Maldives, China discussed joint COVID-19 response. Minister of Foreign Affairs Abdullah Shahid on Saturday held discussion with Chinese Ambassador Zhang Lizong via video conference regarding a joint COVID-19 response. Discussions focused on ongoing bilateral issues, facilitation of people-to-people exchanges, and project cooperation in addition to the establishment of a bilateral coordination mechanism for pandemic prevention and control. During the meeting, Ambassador Zhang reiterated China's enthusiasm to support Maldives' efforts to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister of State of Foreign Affairs Ahmad Khalil, Foreign Secretary Abdul Ghaffur Muhammad, Secretary Multilateral Dr. Ali Nazir Muhammad, and Joint Secretary Mariam Sina, as well as the other top officials from the Foreign Ministry and the Chinese Embassy, participated in the video conference. With this development, Maldives currently records 1,313 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with 1,182 active cases. The country has reported 4 fatalities and a total of 128 recoveries till date. World Health Organization has classified the spread of COVID-19 as a global pandemic. The new strain of novel coronavirus has infected over 5.4 million people and claimed over 342,200 lives around the world. However, out of those infected, 2.25 million people have recovered. Back to you, Alma.
Okay, so far this is the first time we've heard from Maldives. What measures are currently in place, and is the island starting to open up already, reviving the economy? Can you tell us more about Maldives?
Male, the capital city of Maldives, is one of the world's most congested capital, with housing more than 150,000 people in a 5.8 square kilometer or 2.3 square mile area. The government had taken precautions to stop the virus from entering the capital by suspending on-arrival visas and screening people at to airports and arriving from other islands.
So obviously tourism is a big part of the island of Maldives. How does the government intend to revive the tourism industry?
A government relief package has been offered a loans and debt moratorium to the private sector, which is largely made up of tourism businesses. Discussion about the second relief packages are still ongoing.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing more from the island of Maldives. Thank you very much, Steph and the EBC Maldives Bureau. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting live from Maldives, this is Steffi Dihuan, and we live in interesting times.
A moderate 5.6 magnitude earthquake rattled New Zealand's North Island early Monday but failed to crack Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's trademark composure as she conducted a live television interview. Take a look.
Joining us now is the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. Good morning to you. Can I say congratulations on this? And
You may.
Nothing I love more than burning regulations. Does this mean Clark can now build a shed out the back?
No. No, it does not, because he already has a shed, and the last thing we need is another shed for Clark. He has two.
But it is.
We're just having a bit of an earthquake here, Ryan. Quite a decent shake here.
All right.
But if you see things moving behind me,
has it stopped?
The
Prime
beehive
Minister?
moves a little more than most.
Has it stopped, Prime Minister, or is it still going?
Yep. No, it's just stopped.
Okay. And you're feeling safe and well to continue the interview?
No. We're fine, Ryan. I'm not under any hanging lights. I look like I'm in a structurally sound, sound place.
Now, St. John Ambulance and New Zealand Police both said there were no initial reports of injuries or damage. There was no tsunami warning, but there was sustained shaking in Wellington, where the Prime Minister was being interviewed, as we saw earlier on breakfast television, from Parliament's Beehive building, which is designed to absorb seismic forces by swaying slightly on its foundations. The quake struck just off the coast before 8 a.m. local time at a depth of about 52 kilometers near Levin, about 90 kilometers north of Wellington, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. New Zealand lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where tectonic plates collide, generating more than 15,000 earthquakes a year, although only 100 to 150 are strong enough to be felt. ASEAN in Focus will be right back. The Japanese government is planning to lift the state of emergency that remains in place in 5 prefectures before expiring on May 31. Joining us live from Japan is Dennis Liu. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, according to Kyodo News, after a comprehensive assessment, the government believes the state of emergency is no longer necessary in all prefectures. We would like to consult with you on declaring an end to the measure, Nishimura told the panel at a meeting on Monday. After the emergency is lifted, the government will establish a transitional period and assess the infection situation every 3 weeks, meaning requests for people to stay at home and avoid large gatherings may be eased only gradually. Nishimura said the government will continue to ask people to refrain from crossing prefectural borders until the end of the month. The panel of infectious disease and public health experts is considering the number of newly reported cases over the past week, the availability of medical care, and the capacity to provide virus tests and monitor the spread of the virus. One benchmark is whether new infections have fallen below 0.5 per 100,000 people in the past week, and all but 2 prefectures, Kanagawa and Hokkaido, have cleared that threshold. Japanese government officials say the 0.5 benchmark is not the only determinant, adding whether existing cases' transmission routes are traceable is also important, among other factors. Abe is calling for Japanese people to alter their lifestyles by wearing face masks, maintaining social distancing, and working from home to allow the lifting of the state of emergency to breathe life into the recession-hit economy. The Tokyo area and Hokkaido account for about a third of the nation's gross domestic product. The premier is scheduled to hold a press conference to explain his decision later in the day. Japan is lifting the coronavirus emergency declaration roughly 7 weeks after it was enforced. Abe expanded the measure to all 47 prefectures in mid-April, ahead of the Golden Week holidays from late April to early May, to encourage people to cancel their travel plans. Early in the month, Abe extended the state of emergency until May 31st. But on May 14th, he exempted 39 prefectures where the spread of the virus had been brought under control, followed by Osaka, Kyoto, and Hyogo in western Japan last Thursday. The state of emergency gave prefectural governors legal authority to request people forego non-essential outings and businesses to suspend their operations, even though Japan cannot legally enforce a hard lockdown similar to those implemented in Europe and the United States. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Dennis. And we look forward for more updates in Japan. Thank you for your time.
We will give you more news updates next time, Alma. Thank you very much. Reporting live from Tokyo, Japan, this is Dennis Lu. We live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, Singapore is housing migrant workers who have recovered from the coronavirus on 2 cruise ships as part of efforts to reduce the spread of the virus within the workers' crowded dormitories. Take a look.
Here, but stay here, some touring, the sleep, then sometimes go out, jalan-jalan, but nothing to sleep again. Now, no choice, want to stand by here, but we follow rules and regulations. I want to stay separate, but don't go dormitory. Dormitory over there, so many people there, so no clear here. Again, we all clear ready. Again, go there, some feeling not. So we separate staying better. Stand by the dormitory because change of the hotel, some feel happy because we are no going hotel there stand by, but here also we no coming people see the first time feel happy too.
Actually here is very good, but we only boring feel, only cannot go out, cannot do anything. This one whole day at the room. This one we boring feel. When we can go back, return, our company can start work. This one only. This one otherwise everything is very good.
What do you do?
Actually, we got virus ready. Doctor informed me your virus is positive. That time I no talk to my family anything because they cannot do anything from Bangladesh to here. They only thinking, sometimes crying. They also this way they also can got problem. So I never informed them.
About 1,500 recovered migrant workers are currently living on each ship. As a precaution, temperature checks are performed twice a day, and workers are only allowed to use outdoor spaces at staggered timings while staying at least 1 meter apart and wearing face masks. In other news, the Department of Foreign Affairs reported that a 60-year-old Filipina nurse was wounded by artillery fire in the outskirts of the Libyan capital of Tripoli on Saturday. The Philippine Embassy in Tripoli said the nurse sustained a shrapnel wound in the shoulder after an artillery round exploded outside the housing compound where she and several other Filipino hospital workers were staying. Embassy Chargé d'Affaires Elmer G. Cato said, quote, "The nurse is the 3rd Filipino casualty since the outbreak of fighting in Tripoli more than a year ago, and 2 other Filipinos had been wounded in rocket attacks in other parts of Tripoli during the early months of the fighting." In an advisory, the embassy advised Filipinos to relocate if they live in areas where exchanges of artillery, heavy weapons, or small arms fire are taking place. It added that doing so would keep Filipinos from getting caught in crossfires. To date, more than 1,000 Filipinos, who are mostly hospital workers, remain in Tripoli and surrounding areas. After weeks of waiting at the closed border, hundreds of Myanmar migrant workers returned home from Thailand as the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic sees factories close and tens of thousands lose jobs across Southeast Asia. Take a look. The announcement of wide-ranging business closures by Bangkok Governor Aswin Kwan Muang on the 21st of March, and the subsequent emergency decree announced by the Thai government on the 26th of March has also triggered a mass movement of Thai migrant workers from Bangkok to their home provinces as well. Now, these movements come at a time when Thailand and its neighbors are encouraging people to stay at home and enforcing social distancing to contain the virus and could have unintended consequences, according to IOM Regional Migration Health Specialist Dr. Patrick Duigan. Now, Thailand's efforts to curb the spread of the virus have included shutting down non-essential businesses across the country and limiting travel both within the country and between Thailand and other countries. And most Thai border checkpoints are now closed for people. An emergency decree bans entry to non-Thais with the exception of drivers, diplomats, shippers, pilots, and others with permission. At the Myanmar border, only Thai and Myanmar nationals have been allowed to cross the border. Acute malnutrition among under-5s could rise by 20% owing to COVID-19. That is according to the World Food Program. The UN agency has warned that young, malnourished children are especially at risk from the pandemic and plummeting family income. Take a look.
COVID-19 and malnutrition are a deadly combination. The virus can have a devastating impact on small bodies already weak from poor nutrition. During the pandemic, we also see families struggling to provide nutritious foods to their children due to a loss of income and disruptions in food markets. This could result in millions more children being pushed into a downward spiral of malnutrition and disease. Where malnutrition threatens the world's most vulnerable children, WFP remains at the forefront to prevent malnutrition and to treat it. During the COVID-19 outbreak, WFP starts by pre-positioning stocks of specialized nutritious foods. Then we adapt the nutrition programs to ensure better disease control, as well as getting communication out to mothers and caregivers on good nutrition and hygiene practices.
Now, because of this, the agency expects that an additional 10 million children from the world's poorest countries face not having nearly enough to eat. Failure to act could cause a devastating loss of life, health, and productivity in future generations, according to the WFP. Now, today, 22 million under-5s and pregnant and nursing mothers rely on specialized food provided by WFP to prevent and treat malnutrition. The agency is already working with governments to monitor populations that are vulnerable to COVID-19 and adapting nutrition support where required. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau slammed unacceptable attacks on Canadians of Asian origin who have been the target of increasing abuse since the outbreak of the coronavirus. The Prime Minister denounced the significant increase in acts of racism against Asians during his daily press briefing. Take a look.
I want to close today by addressing the significant increase in acts of racism against Asian Canadians. Over the past few weeks and months, businesses, buildings, and statues have been vandalized. People have been verbally abused and physically attacked. It's unacceptable. Hate, violence, and discrimination have no place in Canada. This is not who we are as Canadians. I want to thank those who have stood up against violence and exposed what is happening in our communities. We need to speak out against racism wherever it is found so we can stop it. To Asian Canadians across the country, know that we all stand with you. We will not let hate divide us.
In Vancouver, a Chinese cultural center in Chinatown was recently spray-painted with racist graffiti. Police in the western city have reported an increase in reports of anti-Asian hate-motivated incidents and criminal acts since the outbreak of COVID-19. And since the beginning of the year, there have been 20 anti-Asian attacks reported to police against 12 in the whole of 2019, and of those, 15 were in April. Vancouver police had previously warned of a surge in hate crimes against the city's East Asian community this spring. A man approached an Asian victim at a bus stop and then punched her in the face, according to police. The assault, the police said, appears unprovoked, as there appears to be no communication between the victim and the attacker. Meanwhile, Huffington Post reported that in another incident, a 92-year-old man with dementia was attacked in a convenience store. The suspect, who police have since identified, yelled racist remarks at the victim, including comments about COVID-19, and he shoved the victim, who fell to the ground and hit his head. Vancouver Police Deputy Chief Constabulary Howard Chow at a news conference said they're now handling 29 open cases of anti-Asian crimes, including racial slurs, vandalism, and assaults, compared to 4 by the same time this year. A Calgary Chinese restaurant received an anonymous threat one evening in March, which police there also said is believed to have been motivated by pandemic-related racism. And Edmonton police have reported several cases of hateful graffiti directed towards the Asian community. Such attacks have been on the rise around the world since the virus was first detected in China in late 2019, with more and more Asians or people of Asian origin having to face anti-Asian outbursts. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations and beyond. Stay updated about our news. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.
It says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.